Uphill 30. Let's go. F4. Special guest in the building. Big D comedy. You already know me.
Hey, you
This
know who
guy,
it is.
Mr. Birthday, Uphill 30 exclusive. Literally turning 30 today. Like this is so hype. I've been saving this. Like I'm so hyped right now. I'm so happy
Let's
like this is
do it.
happening. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you,
And
sir.
yeah, that's turning 30. What me and Matt have been trying to advocate is not that bad. And a lot of people say turning 30 your life goes downhill and we're trying
Right.
to change that and it's going to be uphill. So 30
Oh
uphill,
yeah.
that's what we're all about. So yeah, I got
Love that.
my beer ready. I'm
Oh,
ready.
me too.
And yeah, here we
Loaded.
go. The reason why this episode is so special is because not only is it the first time we have a guest here, because this is an exclusive, it is his 30th birthday on
Absolutely.
Uphill 30.
Oh
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
and I think this is going to be a very special conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why the biggest topic is fatherhood, especially for men. I feel like as men, we don't talk about that, and we need to. And as a almost father, a future father, I am literally, I think, 3 months away. I don't even know the math, but 3 or 4
You got.
months away, I will have my daughter. And these guys are
That's
already down that road. So I'm here to learn, I'm here to listen, I'm here to ask the questions and really understand what is fatherhood and make the best out of it. So you know what, Matt, why don't you start things off?
All right. Well, what we got here? So, being a father, fatherhood. So, pretty much, I think one of the most, or I'd say the most important things are being a leader in your home and uh, being a leader in the home, guiding your family, and making sure you're protecting them and from obviously physical protection and everything that surrounds you. You know what I mean? It surrounds them. So I think that's very important.
So Deon, what is fatherhood to you? Like, what's that mean?
oh man. So I didn't know what that was really going into it. Like when I had my son Eli, it really was a big eye opener because the whole time I was, me. What I want, how I want things to go. And when you become a father, you really have to put your children first. Uh, and at first, it was hard for me because I'm all about me, and now I have this newborn, and he needs to get his diaper changed. He's up at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a struggle for the first few months. But you really learn about yourself a lot. You and your partner, you guys really go through some really tough times and intimate times between the two of you that help navigate your relationship to where it's like this is a secure place for my kid and I'm happy with that, right? uh, it gets very scary at times because I mean I can't tell you how many times me and Gabby checked Eli or Eliza to see if they're breathing, you know what I'm saying, and because you're just so nervous, you don't want them to die, right? It's like when you leave the hospital you lose all that security blanket. So like the nurses are there with you, they're in the room with you, they're checking the kid. If the mom needs a break, I remember Gabby would like tell the nurse and she would come in and watch Eliza for like a few hours while Gabby got to sleep or whatever. But you only had that for so long. We were in the hospital for maybe a few days and then you're home with the newborn. So now you have to figure out that life home, and you might have pets, we had our Eli, so he's getting used to seeing a new baby at home, and he actually kind of started reverting to where it was like, now he wants to be the baby and he's acting more like Eliza, and that was really something we had to work on, but that I think that's most kids, when they're not used to seeing
Yeah.
someone else get more attention, than them.
Both of you just said like your mind shifts when it happens, and to me, I don't know. I already feel it happening, and I just know it's going to be different when it actually happens. But let me ask you this: since both of you are fathers of two now, like when you shifted from father one to two, was there a switch there, like, or because you both have one daughter, one son, right? So is that different minds like shifts for each like gender or? doesn't matter.
There's a lot more juggling going on, a lot more moving parts. You got one kid running around. You have to give him attention. Like Ivy, she wants to be the center of attention. Amongst all that, you have the dog running around, and you still have to you got to pay attention to yourself too, and your spouse, your other. So um, you have lot going on. And then when you add the other one to the mix, now, obviously they're going to kind of take priority because of, like what Deon said, it's round two. So you kind of know what to expect, but every kid is different.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
like, for instance, with Walker and whatnot, like right now he's going through a tough time because he was sleeping fine and whatnot. Now, till recently, he just got surgery on his tongue ties and lip tie, or it was cheek ties and tongue tie. So now he's going through a little phase where he's having trouble sleeping, and then you know Ivy acts like a baby and whatnot. So it's like you get it, but it's all good. And like Dion said too, you struggle, but you got to just work together as a team, make it through it, and it's only temporary. And we're all gonna miss this stage, even if it
Yeah.
is tough. You're gonna look back and just remember their smiles and all those little moments that you have with them that are like really good. You want to focus in on those because a lot of people pay attention to negative, like the negative end of it,
Right.
and that could bring people down big time, and that's what brings relationships down too. So like that could bring marriages down, any type of relationship really. And yeah, you don't want that to happen. You want to stay as positive as possible. Think about the good times. Work together, um, and you gotta play the selfless role.
Oh yeah. That you hit the nail on the head with the selfless. Like Matt was saying, like as a father, you really have to be the leader in your household, uh, because that's just how it works better like that. So I work at night and Gabby works during the day. So I'm home with Eliza during the morning, and then at night, I go work and stuff. Uh, so when she comes home, she only watches them. So you have to kind of get a system that works with the two kids, right? Because Eli's starting to go to school too. He's in kindergarten now, so he goes to school in the morning. So me being able to work at night, so now I can take him in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Or Gabby takes him in the morning before she has to go to work. And it's those little like systems that really help like bring everything together. Because I couldn't imagine, being here and not having, you know, well, we have my mother-in-law who lives here too, and she helps us out a lot. Like if we didn't have that system, I could see how our household would be in like disarray, and it would really cause issues in our relationship and stuff. Uh, and I want to say something too about having, like it was when we had Eli, it was scary, right? Because that was our first child, and all this stuff is new to us. We have to figure it out. We have to get a place, and Mo, you know about all that stuff. We lived with
Yeah.
you for a little bit. It's like a hustle. You know what I'm saying? You're like, because we weren't really prepared for that, right? No one really is, but you can put yourself in a position where you're more prepared, right? If that makes sense. Uh, but when we had Eliza, it was like we're doing everything all over again because at this point Eli's 4, so it's just like I'm picking up this little rag doll of a human, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to remember all this stuff again, right? That I previously was like, oh, it's over with now. But some stuff you never forget. But that was really interesting when she was born.
I was gonna say both of you talk a big deal on responsibility. It seems like that moment things just shift in your brain. You're like, all right, I got to be responsible now. Like I know who I was before, but now I'm a father. So when that shift happens, and you're saying like responsibility, like what's the pressure like? How do you deal with that pressure? I feel like just thinking about it to me is like already such a big weight on my shoulders. How do y'all deal with that?
I think like I don't know. I feel like I struggle with some things personally. Um, like Dion was saying before, with like yourself. Like I guess you say you're selfish. You want to think about yourself and stuff like that. So I still struggle. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes. Like
Yeah,
that's
same.
just normal. it happens. I feel like it's just human nature, but my whole thing is how you deal with it. I think it just comes natural in a sense, especially if you care and you love your family. I think it's just going to come natural to you. Everyone's going to react differently and have different experiences. So, you know, there could be, you know, endless amount of situations. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to if you love your family, you're going to be there for them and you're going to make it work. You know, I think obviously if you didn't care, you're not going to be there. And that's messed up. So,
Yeah.
and it's a shame. It
Yeah.
really is a shame because more and more these days, I don't know if we want to jump into this topic, but more these days, we've been seeing. I mean, there's less and less father figures in this world, and that's throughout. I mean, pretty much history. I mean, you see it. The more and more fathers are in the household. It's sad.
Yeah.
For me, like I like working, and I thought my responsibility was to get out, get a second job, and make more money. But right, but when you do stuff like that, now you're kind of absent from the home, and you're kind of leaving the responsibility on your significant other or whatever, and that can build tension. So what I try to do is kind of meet myself in the middle. So I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to make sure that I'm home every night, and I'm taking care of the things I need to take care of. There, I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep. Even up to recently,
Yeah.
and I've had to just keep pushing. And you got to do what you got to do, right? Because it's like nobody loves your kids more than you, so you're kind of doing as much as you can. Well, good parents at least, you want to make sure that your kids are set. Like with Eliza in the morning, I'll be exhausted because I had just worked the entire night and I work 12-hour shifts. So I'll come home and the first thing I want to do is lay down and go to sleep. But, she's just waking up. So now I have to make her breakfast and all this stuff kind of just goes to the back of your head like sleep. And the responsibility of she needs to eat, she needs to get her diaper changed. We got to go to the park or do something. She needs to get out the house. It kind of gives me the energy so that 4 hours later when I do put her down and I take a nap for a little bit, that's the responsibility, right? Like, cause I can't come home and just sleep and now she's in her crib crying. I have responsibilities I have to do that if I don't do them, like my daughter will suffer. So that's where I really have my drive, and that helps me move and kind of get motivated.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Responsibility does a lot to take on, and honestly, and what I've been reading, because I've been trying to read upon like responsibility and fatherhood, a
Yeah,
lot of men, I don't know why, they decide, you know what, I'm not dealing with this, and that's when they go buy the milk, right? So
right.
to me, this does not make sense. Like, and to the guys that do this, I will never understand their logic. Why do you think like guys like when they find out they're having a kid, they peace out, they leave, they ghost, whatever the word is. What goes through their head? Like, what makes them think that's okay? Like,
I think it's fear,
yeah,
fear and selfishness overall. I mean, a lot of people. This is the thing too. Like people, a lot of people aren't raised right. You know,
Yeah,
I think it's a big thing.
yeah,
So people, a lot of people these days, they say you don't have to have responsibilities, and a lot of times, it, you knock someone up, and then you have a kid, and then you're going to do that. Um, you're not mature enough, obviously, to realize what's going on. You're afraid, and unfortunately, you're not. I really wouldn't consider you a real man. You're still a boy,
yeah. That goes out the
and
window.
there's no excuse either. I mean, that's not an excuse that you're a boy. I mean, you're young. Own up, own up, and take that responsibility. There are a few stories out there. I actually know someone who had a kid at a very young age back in high school, and he took his responsibility, and I think he was I don't know for sure. I didn't like hang out with him or anything, but from what I heard, he was a single father. So he did what he could, and he made it work. I don't know how he is today. I have no idea, but it's just hearsay.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I mean, if that's true, that's awesome. That he did that.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know so many people personally that I know for a fact are not in their kids' lives, but they're posting like that they're going to the club and they make
Oh
music,
my
and they spend a lot of time on other things that really uh, don't really mean anything long scheme, right? Like you go into the club for the week, you spend a few $100 doing what, right? When your kid's at home, who doesn't even really know, right? Because in my head, I think those type of people, Matt was saying, like they're afraid of that responsibility. They're afraid to really take that role as a father because they're not done being who they want to be, right? They haven't reached that. They're not a rap star. They're not this yet. You know what I'm saying? They're not
Yeah,
where
you're right.
yet, right? So they push that to the side, which is terrible, because
selfish.
that's the most important thing. Like, I mean, getting a 40-hour a week job and, being there for your kid is way cooler than being, a rapper to me, because you know, it just,
But
it's the delusion. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
it's true.
their high school like popularity. You know what I'm saying? I'm only speaking this because I'm 30 now, and like the people I see, and to be honest, I won't keep people around me who don't take care of their kids or that type of stuff is like unacceptable. Like you really wake up every day and do the things you do, and I can't. I don't know if I could go a day or two without my kids. I went on vacation a few months ago, and I just wanted to come back home. It's crazy to me how people just don't care about kids as much as they. People we grew up. It's ridiculous, but
It
That's the
it
truth.
doesn't make sense, and it's a whole different mindset. Maybe it's just I think it's a lack of maturity or something. There's something missing in their in their mind where they just don't want to accept that, you're not a kid anymore and you're responsible for another human being. You guys are already at the path of fatherhood and I'm literally about to be. And you know what? I this is not an easy thing. I don't think this is gonna be easy, and y'all probably know it more than me. Like, what is the easiest and what is the hardest thing about being a father?
The easiest
I
and the
guess.
hardest thing. Honestly, like the hardest thing about being a father, I think I would say the leadership role
yeah,
is. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a tough question. It really is. I mean, I think we all struggle with things personally. I mean, that's just everyone.
yeah,
I think it's just like battling with your demons and maybe the selfishness. You know what I mean? Like, because this is the whole thing. I'm always doing something. I got to always do something. So whether it's work, do the yard work, ride motorcycles, whatever. I think it's just like kind of like the selfishness and whatnot. Yeah, it's not easy saying it, but at the end of the day, that's just what it is, I think. And you know what? Overall, I think I do a good job. I'm home as much as I can be. There are times, like after like when my wife goes to bed or something like that, I'll go out on a ride or something like that. That's just to blow off my steam and just relax and get in my zone and think and just process everything. I mean, that's my release.
yeah,
So easiest thing, I don't know. I love playing with my daughter and stuff, playing
yeah.
with her toys, and that's the easiest thing. Sitting down, hanging out, having a good old time. Rocking a baby is fun. I I don't have anything deep for you on the easy end, honestly. It's literally
Okay.
that's fun to me, man. It makes me happy, makes my wife happy. She gets a little break. She does a lot, man, a lot. She busts her ass. She really does. Thank God for a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, teamwork is definitely
Different.
important. I definitely.
Oh yeah, you need that. The collaboration is so important, right? Not only for you but the kids. Right? The kids see you and mom, getting together, doing stuff, cooking, and that stuff's important. I never saw that stuff growing up, and that's why really what drove me when I was younger is like I want a family because I know how I'm gonna. I know I'm going to kill it. Like I already knew at a young age that I wanted to be a father, and that I was just waiting for my time. And when it did come, it was hard, and it's going to be hard for anybody. But I really love being a father. That's something that I feel like in my life, and where I was at that point in time, that needed to guide me and really give me like, this is what you need to be doing, right? Because I was at a point where I had just gotten out the military, and I'm getting these jobs, and none of these jobs are really working out, and I'm really not really making much money, and I don't really have a path on where I want to be. And then when my son came, it all just it cleared up for me, and it was like, this is who you need to take care of, and everything else will work out. And I could tell you now, like, I mean, I'm at my dream job right now, and I love what I do, and I can still be home and take care of my kids, and like everything is just working out for me because I manifested. I wanted, a happy house, and I want my kids to see a happy house because I didn't see that. And it didn't like mess me up or anything, but it just showed me that's not what I want in life. You know what I'm saying? And I think Matt can agree with that. And Mo, you as well. I know you guys have seen the, maybe not in your own personal life, but with friends and stuff like that, how broken homes really, really affect people. Because broken people just keep breaking people, right? You need someone to kind of hold it all together. And when I got, with Gabby and we had our kids and we started building a community, between the two of us, it really gave me like a guideline of this is what I need to be doing. And ever since then, it's just, I know what I need to do. I wake up and know what needs to be done, and you execute it, right? Like, man, that's what you need to do.
That's it.
No, it's I feel like a lot can be said, and it's so much harder probably just going through it.
Yeah.
It definitely is, and something that I was reading about is also patience. Apparently, patience can like take a lot of work, like internally, but it also is gonna mean a lot in the journey. So I'm sure, especially with two kids, each of you, has patience paid in some aspect has it played a factor in your lives?
Every day.
Patient. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if it's the military in me still. Gabby says it's the military in me. I mean, when I tell my son to do something, like, if I have to say it twice, he gets a tone. Like, because it's small stuff. Hey, can you pick up your toy? Hey Eli, can you pick up that toy for me? And if he's running around, hey Eli, I asked you to pick up that toy. I get an attitude. It's tone. Like, I'm quick to just be like, hey, I told you to do something. Like, let's get it done. And she's kind of more like, relax. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be so, jumping down their throat, right? And I agree with her. She's right. I really shouldn't be so quick to, but that's something that's just me that I'm working on. That just because I wish I had a father like that for me. Like, hey, stop crying. Like, you don't need to be crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone who would just sit me down and kind of steer me in a direction to where I wasn't so sensitive, because I was super sensitive growing up, and that's not like that's not, there's nothing wrong with being sensitive, right? But you want to steer your son to where he's able to handle life, right? Because life isn't easy, and he's going to get knocked down, and your daughter and women too. You're going to get knocked down many times as you get back up. It's how you handle that when you get back up, right? Like, and I want my kids to be prepared. I don't want them to ball up into a mess and now the world's ending. Get,
Yeah.
tie your shoes and let's get moving. You know what I'm saying? What's next?
I
That didn't work
love it.
out. Let's figure something out, right? Like,
I could definitely relate to that, man. Like it's like with my daughter, man. So like the first time she fell and scraped her knee, it was just crazy. I'm like, listen, I sat down Ivy and she was crying, tears rolling out of her eyes. I'm like, listen, Ivy. And I noticed like encouragement. So like this is the one thing I never got encouragement when I was a kid. So I feel like encouragement is like a big thing. So you wanna be tough. You got to be tough for the world. I mean, the world will run over you if you're not. So I just encourage her, and I'm like, Ivy, are you a tough girl? And she's like, yeah, Daddy, I'm a tough girl. I'm like, well, that's good. Give me a high five. You're okay, right? And she says yes every time. And now it's like every time she falls, she's fine. She's like, I'm good, and I love it. And she gets right up, she runs around again, bumps her head again. It is what it is, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's important for sure,
Yeah.
along those lines. And obviously, when time goes on, there's gonna be bigger problems and stuff, and handle it almost the same way. There might be some differences depending on what it is, but at the end of the day, you want to encourage your children. You want to, as a leader, I mean, you got to show, as a father, you are the leader. And like you said before, when daddy says something, you do it. I mean, that's how it should be done. That's
Yeah.
where like discipline comes into play, right? So lack of discipline leads to destruction later on in life. You gotta make sure that your kids know that there's rules, laws, and that's it. I mean, half the world we see out there, it's all chaos. People don't know what the hell a rule or a law is. It's whatever I want. Me, me, me.
Mhm.
It's not you. It's not. So I think it's important. I think it's what I was saying was I think it's just important that being a leader, showing them right from wrong, and don't say it twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think I don't know if you guys both caught it, but both of you mentioned something very important. So about the way you grew up, and like you were, and both of you said, I didn't get this as a kid, so I want to do this. And thinking back, I think role models is a big factor, right? So whether you have a daughter or a son, they still look up to you to do the right thing, and they base their judgments off what you teach them. And thinking back, I mean, I love my dad, and I think he did the best he can. And I wished I had a bit more, but I can't change who he was. Like I said,
Right.
he did the best he can. I wished I had a bit more guidance to kind of figure myself out. Maybe I wouldn't be so shy. So let me ask you this: what type of role model do you want to be for your kids?
To be honest, I'm still working on that because I don't think I am a role model from like as a dad. I think I'm doing a great job, and I think my kids love me and they respect me. But like my son looks up to Spider-Man and all that. So like I can't, I'm never gonna live up to Spider-Man. But because I want my son to say my dad. You want your son to say I want to be like my dad when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't. He hasn't had that. Wow. Because he's still young and all that. They don't understand. The what you guys do. What you as a parent, what you do for your kids. When you love them, and the sacrifices you make. I mean, the many sacrifices. I can't tell you. I mean, my living room TV is Eli's, right? Like, I mean, it's for the kids. Like, I mean, it's a big flat screen TV that me and Gabby really only watch at night, right, when the kids are asleep. But that those and that's not like a big sacrifice, but those are some of the things you make. The kids coming into bed with you at night because they can't sleep, or that those are the type of sacrifices. But they're good to me. They're good sacrifices. Like when my son comes in the room and wants to come lay down with mom or whatever. That's cute to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to do that growing up. Like that type of stuff is always welcome.
So role models and sacrifices. So I'd say like I don't know. All I like as far as sacrifices, your kids will never really see the sacrifices you
Never.
made to get to where you are. Um, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I just honestly, as they get older, as long as they respect me, they love me, I'm in their lives somewhat. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy with that. I know one day I'm prepared, and this is the saddest part, and I think every parent needs to understand that one day you will lose your kid. And I know it sounds very dark, but one day they're just going to be gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, as long as they still keep in touch with you and they love you, that's all that matters, man. And um, I'm okay with it. It is what it is.
What do you think makes that, like, connection so special? Like, how do you keep that connection strong? It's a bond, right? That
Yeah.
bond is what keeps parents and, like, their children in, like, that have that special connection. Like, how do you keep it? Like I like me for me like myself. I will call my mom at least once a week. I will talk to my dad like once a month. I don't know. That's just like the way it is. Like I wish it could be
Yeah.
better. That's just the type of like connection we have.
Yeah.
And like
That's a good
I'm
question.
happy about the connection we have, but like
Yeah.
how does it become better? Like I want a very special connection with my children. But how do
Let me
I get that bond?
put it this way. I mean, what makes you call your mom every day, right? So, like, is it the love and just respect? I mean, is that what it is? You know, obviously, this is the whole thing. Everyone's going to be different in their own way. I don't know how my kids are going to be. My son will still love me, but may never talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I'll visit him like once a month type thing. And, but everyone's different. I really don't know how to answer that question, to be honest with you. And Deon, if you have an answer for that, I would love to hear it. I really don't know what to say.
Yeah, I can totally relate to Mo with like speaking to my parents. Like, I mean,
Yes.
I could go months without talking to my parents. My parents like they won't reach out to me, and like maybe they'll call me on my birthday, right? Like on today or something, and it's just like time has never passed, right? Like it's just like, hey, what's up? You know, like everything. But that's not really a normal functioning relationship, right? Where it's like we're speaking once or twice every month, and I mean, for some people it can be because some people really do want that space. Me personally, I'm like, I have a family of my own, so that's really my main priority. Like, I love my parents; they'll always be there for me. But you know, I'm in Arizona, right? Like, I mean, I have my own family here that I have to take care of, and that's kind of like what I think about. Like, I call my Gabby all the time, and I call my mother-in-law and stuff like that. And I call my mom every now and then. But me and my father reach out every now and then. I think what's really important is, I think you have to make the effort, right? Like as a parent, you have to want to make the effort to see how your kids are doing because you don't know. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I needed something or, I was shit out of luck or S out of L and, I had to figure it out. And I would have loved a phone call from my mom or my dad to kind of gear me, but I didn't want to make that call, right? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the issue what we have going on. And, how to really negate that, I would just say be be more present in your kid's life. I mean, my mom was present, but growing up, like looking back now, she really wasn't as present as she could have been, and I could say the same about my dad. But they did the best they could. I mean, I always had a place to sleep, I always had a place to eat, so I'm not complaining, at all. But me and Gabby have a different relationship with our kids that I feel like really sticks with them. Like, I mean, Eli's such a mama's boy, and my daughter. So that's the type of dynamic I want. And I feel like if we continue that, we shouldn't have an issue with, I'm not speaking to my kids and all that stuff.
So I think Dion made a good point though. Like that's very well put. So as we get older, we got to remember that we should be reaching out to our kids, and keeping in touch with them. And if they can't talk to us at the moment, that's fine. But I think you're right. That makes sense. I mean, it was a very simple thought. I mean, that makes a lot of sense right there. So
So I know both your kids are pretty young right now, but as they get older, the type of relationship you have with them changes, like in a good way. Do you want to be your kid's friend? But how do you make sure that, I'm your father at the same time? Like how do you have that relationship where like I want my kids to tell me everything, but at the same time like, hey, respect that I'm your father. Like how do you guys feel about that?
well,
Me
uh,
personally, I wouldn't want my son to tell me something that would make me disappointed in him. But if he's open enough to tell me, then I guess I'm doing the job, right? Uh, Well, my son tells me everything, and I'm sure Eliza will too, because that's just and Gabby, she's a social worker, so she knows how to kind of speak to the kids to where they feel open enough to speak about certain things.
I would like. This is the thing. If my kids ever needed something or something happened, I want you to tell me, even if I am upset or disappointed. That's okay. It is what it is. Life happens. We all go through stuff. We all make mistakes. It is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? The best thing is to come to me or, my wife and let's discuss it and figure it out. I will help you. I'll do whatever I can. We're your parents, you know what I mean? So we want to be there for you. You
We're
know
all
what I mean? I mean, My kids will know that they can come to me with whatever they need. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's
Like,
important because
do you think they should be afraid of you though? Like, what if it's like something that you'll be mad at? How do you deal with
so,
that?
right. So no, it's a good question, man. I think at the end of the day, I don't know, man. What's the worst that can happen? I'm only mad at you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do?
They should be able to tell dad.
You're 16 years old, go to your room. Like, actually, yeah, you're still underneath my household. I guess I could do that, right? But at the end of the day, no, if it's like, it all depends. If it's something minor and stuff, you know, anything it is, I want them to be able to come to me. I don't really have an answer for that, except for what I said. That's all I
Yeah.
got.
That's fine.
My
Piggybacking.
kid's only, my kid's
Yeah.
only 2.5, bud.
I'm like,
and 4 months.
yeah, I could like my mom used to always tell me I'm not your friend. She used to always tell me that, like, I'm not your friend. Do not speak to me like that. And that kind of stuck with me growing up. I'm not sure if I really like that, because I really didn't talk to my mom. I mean, I did talk to my mom about a lot, but there are some things that I kept. What I will say is I feel like kids should be afraid if they mess up and they did something like a car accident, whatever, and it's their fault, whatever, they should be afraid to tell dad. They shouldn't be afraid, but they should be worried to tell dad, but they should be okay to tell mom. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that little, if you have two parents in the house, if they can tell mom, then mom can, use her feminine ability.
That's the truth right there. Yeah, no, that's true.
I can't tell you how many times Gabby's called me and been like, listen, I did this, and like, it brought me from like, okay, I'm gonna, not yell at him, but speak to him to, all right, kids are just being kids. Like, you need that, she can kind of work on certain things, and if it needs to come to me, and I need to put the hammer down, the hammer will come down. But I don't want to put the hammer down, right? You kind of want that mediation with your significant other to where you're kind of like, how do we kind of handle this? And they definitely bring the softer end into it. I mean, Eli runs to his mom, when he messes up or he does something or makes a mess or whatever, because he knows how, clean it up, like he knows I'm going to be on him with that. He might not, I don't yell at him, but he might not like my tone, right? Hey, you're drawing on the walls, clean it up. You need to clean it up right now, like that. But with Gabby, she's like, clean it up later, Eli. All right, you messed up. You clean it up later, okay? And he'll tell me he's sorry and all that stuff. So I think the duo kind of works well with that type of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm gonna pivot into something more not lighthearted. When you're all at the hospital, right? Did you get the bench? Like, how did you deal with that seat?
Oh
Like,
man,
how long were you there? Like, what was it like?
What are you talking about?
when
Like,
Eli,
when you're
yeah,
in the hospital and
couch,
your wife's over, yeah, yeah, the little couch, the chair.
hold up there, yeah.
Oh, that.
Oh man, yeah. I remember sleeping on that when we had Eli. It was like a couch. I mean, not a couch, a chair, like a lazy boy, right? That you pull the thing and
Yeah,
it pulls out into, and the whole time you're uncomfortable and you don't have blankets. That's a part of the dad thing. I mean, you're there for. I think Gabby was there with Eli for about 2 days. We weren't there very long with our kids before we brought them home. So I wasn't like sleeping on them all the time, but it definitely strains on you, right? You're exhausted. She was in labor for like 26 hours, so you're kind of like, we were up forever. You know what I'm saying? Waiting for this baby to come out, and we're exhausted. We want to sleep, and so when you do decide to sleep, and you look on the little chair, you're like, what? Can I go home? Like, I have like a bed, but it's hard. But that's again another sacrifice, right? Like if you're a good dad, you're going to be at the hospital for as long as you can, right? Especially on your first kid, it's very anxious-y. You're both kind of like looking at each other to pick up, on stuff. Like you rely on each other a lot, especially if you have someone with you. So that's important.
My back and my hip hurt.
Oh yeah.
Short and simple. No, I get it. I was actually thinking about bringing an air mattress, my PlayStation, a
You
little
Shut
mini
up,
AC. I
dude.
don't know.
really do that.
Such an asshole. No, you're not, bro. You're not gonna be doing that. You're not gonna be doing that. Let me tell
My
you a
car
little
is already
something.
packed.
The first time we were at the hospital, that was with Ivy. I was there the entire time. I forgot how many days we were there for. I think it was 3 days.
Yeah.
Melissa had it was emergency C-section because she was
Same.
breached. She was
Same.
folded in half like a piece of, I don't know, cardboard or something.
Same.
And so that was a little intense. It went very well. So I have to say though, it was very nerve wracking though, especially as your first kid. The baby's breached, the head's up here, and it's just a mess. Very scary, but we got through it. I was there the whole time, whatever. And your fatherly instincts kicked in, and you're there. Melissa was going through a lot of pain at the time, so I was and she was like healing up. She was in bad spirits in a sense. She just didn't feel good after the surgery because you have to realize they cut you open.
Yeah.
They pull the baby out, so it's not like a natural birth. A natural birth is like I really don't know. I would think it'd be a little more rewarding in a sense, just because of a lot. There's a lot going on, just a different way. But Melissa was going through some hard times, so I had to kick in. I was there learning how to change wipes, the whole thing. Nurses were telling me what to do, so a lot going on. I didn't really think about sleeping much. I barely slept there, anyways. Didn't matter. It is what
Yeah.
it is. Second kid was more so a lot different. I'm gonna tell you the drama that happened all before this. So
Okay.
it was hot out, and I do HVAC, so we were going crazy, and I knew that we were having a kid shortly. We just didn't know when. So apparently Melissa had some complication or whatever, so she had to go to the hospital that day. So we only have one car, so it was whether I take my work van or what, but I was already in town, so I just dropped off my vehicle, hopped on the bike, drove all the way to the city, and then I stayed there overnight. And then in the morning we had Walker. Our mother-in-law was taking care of Ivy. I had to keep going back and forth. So once everything was settled, Melissa was in there. She was in there for a week. A week. Oh yeah, it wasn't even the next day. It was like 2 days later. I forgot all of it. My dog was sick at the time. My dog was in the hospital. Too much was going. I was back
Damn.
and forth. Melissa was like, "Yo, you gotta go back." It was hectic as hell. I don't want to relive it at all. It was awful, but everything went smooth. So Melissa was actually on her own in the hospital a little bit. I slept at home one of the two nights or something like that. I forgot because I had to take care of Ivy. It was just a lot going on. So yeah, that was shenanigans what I just said, but yeah,
Yeah.
it
No, I
was
get it,
shenanigans.
man.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like
and yeah, and I feel like as men, we will never truly understand what the woman's body and like the pains and all that. We will never understand what they're going through. But like I and it's I'm starting to understand now that like when I get like irritated, I'm just like, oh, but then like I'll never know. I'll never exactly understand. I'll never be able to relate to that. Like, how do you just be there for them to like if you can't relate to
That's
the
the
feeling?
answer. That's the answer. You
Oh,
just be there for them. That's the answer. I mean, you gotta be there, present. You hold their hand, say encouraging things. Everyone's different. Everyone's wives will be different during the process, act differently. They might hit you for heaven's sakes. I don't know. I heard some crazy stories. So at the end of the day, just be there. You take it like a man, and that's it. Get through it.
yeah, I mean, pregnant women are different creatures, right? Like they crave this, they need this, you have to adapt, right? What they would say in the Marines, you gotta adapt and overcome. You gotta just figure it out. If they
That's the truth.
gotta go get this, right? You need to bring your tone down, you gotta bring your tone. It's just whatever they want, because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it just makes your life easier. I know at that moment it might make your life a little harder, but in the long run, if they're happy, I still to this day preach that. I mean, she's happy, the whole house is happy. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to keep that.
gotcha.
Man, I would say be like, I mean, the whole right topic of this is be present, especially if you haven't had that growing up. Right? I mean, I can count on my one hand how many faithful relationships I've seen throughout my life. Right, with where they were together and they had the kids in the house and everything was just, you know. I mean, I'm not saying everything was smooth, but you just see I've seen so many failed relationships growing up that was almost a norm. Right, you almost expect that. You almost expect to have a baby mama or whatever. But when you start breaking that type of cycle, you know, and you start, you know, playing your feet down, and you really understand what it means to be a man, right? And that's a big part of being a man. And I know a lot of men who don't have kids and stuff, they probably don't understand, but that's the biggest part of, for me specifically, of becoming a man was having my kids. Even after the Marine Corps, you know, I thought the Marine Corps made me the biggest, toughest, you know, and I just didn't feel like, you know, I still was looking for something, right? And then when I had my kids and I started doing stuff from, I'm like, dude, this feels fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I would have loved to have this fun. I mean, my kid goes to the fucking store and can get whatever he wants. I'm not saying that he does, but if, you know, he's good in school, you know, and I have no problem getting him whatever he wants because that's not an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, he worked for it. He's doing good in school. He's not giving me a hard time. Sure, you can get that bike or a toy or whatever, video game, whatever. You know, none of that stuff. I want to be able to give that to my, you know what I'm saying? Because, but it also teaches them, you know, you don't just get shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to work for it. You know, you want that toy. You know, I need to see the whole week you were good at school. Your teacher needs to tell me you were good at school. You know, the whole week he was good at school. That Friday, I took him to the store and was like, "Go ahead and get." You know, because he knew what he wanted, and it's important to instill that in them young. You know, you got to work for what you want. You know, you can't just give them shit. You know.
Yeah, no, and title was actually a big topic in one of our other episodes. We talked about how even people as adults just feel like they deserve things just because, like,
Yeah.
without even working hard for it. So I think
Right.
as a parent, it's very important to teach them at a young age, and that's one of my main philosophies. I feel like as a father, be like, hey, whatever you're gonna have in life, you're gonna work for it. Like you're not gonna be handed things. You're gonna like put in the work and see what happens when you do. Because
Bring
I
chore
think
wheel.
other like I've what's that?
Bring out the chore wheel. Go ahead.
The chore.
Chore wheel. That's right. I like that.
You know what my dad used to do? I'm sorry, Mo, not to cut you off. My dad
No,
used
go
to
ahead.
my dad used to put money like under like the dish, like he would put like $20 under like the dishes or whatever, you know. So like, or like put like $10 in the garbage can. So it's like when you did these things and you saw it, you're like, oh shit, you know. But he would be like, at the end of the week, he'd be like, nobody fucking took. I had to take all my money back because nobody's fucking taking out the trash, you know. he would he would implement those things, right? Like, listen, I'm putting money in these places for you guys to take out the trash and do the dishes, you know, like kind of like incentives. Like, hey, maybe if I just do the dishes, there might be like $10, you know, next to the sink or something, or underneath the, you know, where you put all the dishes and stuff. But you know, we never did that shit growing up. But he would try to instill that, and I think that's a good idea, right? You leaving little stuff here, you know, just so they can kind of like, oh, this is normal, right? Like I should take out the trash because maybe he left me $1 or $2 or whatever, you know.
Listen, y'all would have done those chores if he was giving you Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh man, yeah. I mean,
100%, 100%.
You used the wrong tool, bud. What the hell is money?
What's something from your childhood that like stuck with you?
Um, man, I don't know if I want to get too deep here, but
Do it. Something's like something your parents did that like stuck with you. Like good,
um,
good. I mean, if you want to do bad, but more good.
well, my stepdad, and my mom, they like I would say as far as like they really worked things out together, you know. So like when they were going through tough times and stuff, they really worked together. I feel like that stuck with me. I'm not getting into too much detail there, but
Oh yeah. So
you know,
you're saying like instead of like calling it quits, like they really like
yeah,
worked things
they
out.
work
That's what
things
stuck with
out. And
beautiful.
it's important.
and
It's
you
important.
and you seeing that like helped you like understand and mature a little bit. Like I got this is what I got to do.
Yeah, and like this is the other thing too. So like from the bad side of things, like my dad, my actual biological dad, he I never saw him really try, man. Like listen, he's still in my life. I still talk to him and stuff. And like, there's certain like he tried in his own way, I guess. But like from my perspective, from what I remember, I never really saw him try. You know, and a very laid back guy. I mean, he's not a bad guy. Just that's how things fell out, I guess, between my parents. I don't know the exact true details and all that, but as far as from what I saw, I mean, there could be other things too. I really don't know, but
I think things were different back then too. Like I think just being a parent back then was kind of like ease not I'm not saying it was easier, but it's a lot of like no hands approach, kind of like toughen things out. And nowadays it's kind of like you have to have be a little bit more involved. But go ahead.
let me tell you something. So from what I see, I think nothing's changed with parenting. I think just the world has got away from parenting. Period. You know, people are waking up to this and they're realizing because society is going down the drain. I think it just trickled down little by little. I don't know if I would say less parenting. I'm not going to say like my parents brought me up pretty well. I think. I mean, I worked hard for everything that I have today and stuff. Every family had their issues, and no matter what, man, you just got to work through it and be better and learn off of mistakes and take the good with the bad. Take the good things, use them for your family. Take the bad and don't do it.
Absolutely. I enjoy being a father. I think 2 is going to be it for me. I miss my own life, if that makes sense. I mean, I always make time for myself. I'm always going to buy the video games I want. I'm going to buy the little trinkets and stuff that I want. But I miss being able to just go out and do something and not have to worry about if the kids are okay. Like that type of thing I miss. Like being a human, being Deon, not being dad, right? Like those are the things you're gonna miss. Like Matt was saying, how he likes to go riding at night. Like to clear his head. Like that's great. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to just sit in front of my like I have a little corner where I have like my video games and stuff, and I'll just sit there and play a video game and kind of like de-stress from the day and kind of plan how I want the next day to go and stuff, just to get away because you need an outlet. I mean, it can be very draining to be a father. Like it really is very. Especially when you're an active father, it can be very draining to 2 kids. It's a lot. So you got to make time for yourself.
You need some time to yourself. Everyone does, like Deon was saying. If you don't, people do snap. Melissa and I both had our moments where we just felt overwhelmed, especially Melissa because she does so much. And I'm not saying that I don't do a lot. I do a lot of different other things that we need to get
In
done.
your own
You know
way.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the day, we all need our time to ourselves. You need to clear your mind. You just got to do something for yourself every once in a while, even if it is like going away for a little bit. Just a weekend vacation. The other one stays at home and just go out with a friend or something like that. Just relax for a little bit, spa day, something. I mean, I don't like. I'm saying for the women, unless you like spas. I mean, that's okay. I'm not judging.
Just want to say thank you both for this conversation. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I think I learned a lot too. And so it's a journey that I'm going to be on, and we're all still on. You never get off that path of fatherhood. You're in there once you get on. You're on there for life, and that's the most important part too. Just know that it doesn't stop. And I think all we can do is keep learning and have conversations and do the best we can.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll give any gems I can. I love doing stuff like that, so I appreciate that a lot.
You're welcome anytime,
Feel
bud.
30. Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday.
I miss you, bro. I miss you.
I miss you guys. I mean, me and Matt, we're on 2 different sides of the world. It's just started a family, and even Mo's in Pennsylvania. I mean, everybody just out of New York, right? And it's just doing their own thing, and it's awesome to see, but it sucks, right? Because we're all so far away. But I appreciate you guys having me on and stuff. It was really nice talking to you.
Y'all have a good one.